Electoral maps of the United States almost always look like a sprawling sea of red interrupted by tiny patches of blue. These oversimplified and sometimes intentionally skewed visualizations can be interpreted or presented in any number of ways.
You're just still looking at magic voting dirt.
I recently spoke with Phil Warren, an image scientist and visual artist, about his work in political data visualization and the problems with the way data is typically presented. He explained that the way that these maps are designed gives undue weight to empty land, misrepresenting the political landscape. The reality is far more nuanced than red versus blue, and these kinds of maps can be misused to tell myriad stories about a given election. When data isn't presented with enough or the proper context, and the narrative is stripped of nuance, it is possible to simplify information to the point of essentially lying. Political maps can be pretty misleading, and in their vagary, obscure the full truth. As it is often pointed out, land doesn't vote, people do. The vast sea of red is often sparsely populated. On the other hand, those little blue patches, often cities, are densely packed. So why does this happen? A big part of it is because simple visuals are more digestible, especially for TV and social media. The media often relies on oversimplified electoral maps to create the illusion of a closely divided electorate, amplifying drama and feeding into false narratives. It gets viewers engaged, but it's also deceptive. They're showing you the forest and telling you it's made up of these pretty sketchy, uneven-looking trees. In the Vox video, The Bad Map We See Every Presidential Election, they critique traditional electoral maps as often prioritizing geographic accuracy over electoral significance, leading to misinterpretations of election outcomes. For instance, the video points out that while a state like Montana occupies a large area on the map, it holds only 3 electoral votes, whereas a smaller state like Massachusetts has 12.
So while this map does a great job telling you that Romney won Montana, for example, what it doesn't tell you is how much that victory doesn't matter.
This disproportionate representation can skew public perception, making it appear as though certain regions have more electoral influence than they actually do.
The media's drive to show this as a close neck-and-neck race where half of America feels one way and half of America feels the other, it's just not accurate.
The problem isn't just with TV news, though. Social media infographics are just as guilty, if not more so. Infographics can go viral in minutes, confirming biases without much scrutiny. Red, blue bar graphs on Twitter or Facebook that are designed to make you say, "Aha, I knew it!" before you even think about checking the source of the data or how the graph is structured.
But the main thing these maps are trying to do is not show you who voted how. They're trying to tell you who won the election. We look at these maps and we think they are representing humans rather than states.
As Hank Green pointed out in a recent post-election video, many of these graphics are created by people with either a lack of understanding or outright bad intentions. They manipulate scales, cherry-pick data, and make it look like something nefarious is happening when it's just incomplete or misleading data. Phil's project aims to cut through the noise by presenting data in a more honest way. Instead of flattening the country into a simple 2-color map, he's using 3D population spike maps where the height of each spike corresponds to the number of people in that area. He also introduced a gradient color scheme, moving from red to gray, or neutral, to blue, and even includes green to indicate third-party votes.
It's just a handful of votes can push a gray spike red or blue, and the blue spikes aren't really sitting on a precipice, they're real blue. So like if you and your friends go out to vote, you could turn an entire city. It's astounding how close most of these red spikes are. So it only takes a few votes to turn a red spike blue, and it would take a whole bunch to turn a blue spike red.
This kind of approach does a better job of representing the complexity of voter preferences, and these tweaks may seem small, but they could also be a crucial distinction that changes the narrative.
My theory is that it can't hurt, and at the end of the day, what I can present is honesty.
At the heart of this issue is a fundamental question. what responsibility does the media have to present data accurately?
These days, when the job of being the media has spread to just whoever can get the most attention at any given moment, which is that the data is wrong.
In an ideal world, the media would serve as a guide, helping the public make sense of complex information, instead of a form of reality TV entertainment more concerned with views than an informed citizenry. When it comes to election maps, the media have more interest in creating drama than in cultivating understanding in their audiences. Hank's video emphasizes the importance of questioning the data we're shown on the news and on social media. When we see a graph or map, we need to ask ourselves, what choices were made in how this data was presented? What's missing? Who benefits from this interpretation? There's also a broader question here about whether more nuanced visualizations can actually change the way people perceive the political landscape. There's a lot of anti-intellectualism and today's discourse. Is there an approach that can bridge the gap and make this information more accessible to the average person? Or is data analysis of any kind at risk of being dismissed as more tech-driven elitism?
There's also always going to be some people that are they're not going to be impressed by any data, no matter how intuitive. At worst, it can make a few people understand it a little better, feel it a little better, feel better about the situation.
The challenge is that political data visualization often gets lumped in with academia and elitism, making it inaccessible to a lot of people. But simplifying doesn't have to mean dumbing down. This Vox video advocates for alternative data visualizations such as cardograms, which adjust state sizes based on electoral votes. Providing a clearer picture and more accurate depiction of political data is an example of ways to better convey the meaning behind the numbers and shapes. We need better maps, better graphs, and better visual storytelling. We also need a media landscape that prioritizes truth over sensationalism. The First Amendment doesn't just establish freedom of speech and a right to assemble, it also calls for a freedom of the press, not just to say anything it wants, but to petition the government for a redress of grievances. If a primary reason we have a free press is to hold those in power accountable, I feel the media is our best method for, and should bear the responsibility of, explaining politics to people. However, in a post-fairness doctrine era dominated by yellow journalism and social media rage baiting, our current paradigm has failed to accurately present political data, and the symbols of this are these superficial, misleading electoral maps. The maps we see on election night should reflect the reality of the voter landscape, not just the most dramatic version of it. As Hank Green put it at the end of his video,
"They're tools meant to simplify, and they do a good job, but that can increase the risk that we learn the wrong things from looking at them."
Phil's project, and others like it, are steps in the right direction. By visualizing data that's honest and grounded in reality, we can start to chip away at the misinformation that shapes so much of our political discourse. The goal isn't just to create a prettier map, it's to help us see a clearer picture of who we are as a country. And in today's world, that clarity is more important than ever. Thanks so much for watching. If you're into media analysis like I am, I think you'll enjoy what's coming up on this channel. I'm an enthusiastic advocate of media literacy and grassroots community organizing, as well as a voracious consumer of this kind of content myself. I'm looking forward to sharing more of my thoughts on these topics and the insights I've learned from the interesting conversations I've been having with subject matter experts.
I'm Phil Warren. I do data visualization, make maps, make movies, make media, and I make generative art. If you want to chat with me about images, color science, or data visualization, computer vision, Instagram. Follow me at Phil_Warren. Slide into my DMs. Let's make some art. Let's make some science. Let's make something pretty.
I've been putting those interviews and other exciting stuff over on my Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/Evan Kinswood. It's similar to Patreon, but with more consolidated features for creators, and they don't take a cut from tips or donations. On my Ko-fi, you'll find all my videos in the order that I post them, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes content, work-in-progress updates, and more in-depth replies to your comments. You can find out more about me at evankinswood.com. Take care, and see you in the next one.